subscribe to the content that we're putting out, please make it official. Hit that sub button, leave a like, and harass the notification bell. And just in case you haven't seen this week's episode, be forewarned, there will be major spoilers from here on out. I guess it is true what the creativity expert Michael Machado said. Perception is demonstrably an active rather than passive process. It constructs rather than records reality. And while the premise of this quote is echoed all throughout this entry, we'll also get into how this is more or less demonstrated throughout the entire season as well. Now this premise is further demonstrated as we see the events of last week's entry play out from a different perspective. While Mac was dealing with the loss of his parents and Deke was rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D, the rest of the team was in the process of figuring out what was causing the time drive to malfunction. Now this brings us to the time drive itself, and it's brought to the viewer's attention that the time jumps are increasing, and it is therefore explained to us in this manner of speaking.
Think of it like a stone skipping along the surface of a pond. The jumps and the time we spend in any given time period are getting exponentially shorter.
Which will inevitably lead to this.
At this rate, the Zephyr will collapse into a space-time singularity in 2 days.
Now after Deke chimes in with a possible solution to disconnect the time drive's fuel cell, Enoch points out that its protective field has a cycle rate of about 49 pulses per second, meaning if Yo-Yo, who is a speedster, could access her latent powers, she would be able to retrieve the fuel cell in between the cycles. And after another possible solution is offered this time by Daisy, it is settled. They now must go to the one place where special powered people have thrived with their unique talent for over a millennium. Given the unique and ultimately fatal history between Daisy and her mother S.H.I.E.L.D, it was still a pleasant surprise to see her in this week's episode. And since S.H.I.E.L.D is a seasoned authority in all things inhuman, it made it a logical choice for the team to seek her out for guidance. Plus, it doesn't hurt that they're in a past where S.H.I.E.L.D hasn't yet provoked her with ulterior peace offerings as well. We also get to see some familiar faces, such as the younger version of Gordon, and some not so familiar faces, one who we later learn will more than likely have a huge impact on future events moving forward. After Yo-Yo passes the diviner test, she's treated to much the same treatment Daisy was offered during her first arrival. After many failed techniques, they conclude that the problem is not physical at all, and that what is blocking Yo-Yo's abilities is psychological, namely emotional in nature. We also learn that during Yo-Yo's stay in the afterlife, there is an inhuman who, despite S.H.I.E.L.D's effort, doesn't quite feel as if she's welcomed as her guest. More on this after the next segment. Now, if you've been paying any attention to our videos here at Content Meta, we've always been concerned about Yo-Yo and her seemingly enigmatic loss of her gift. All the way up until the last episode of Season 6, her abilities were intact. We never bought into the whole "the Shrike is the reason for the loss of her powers" narrative. We've always believed it to be somewhere along the lines of psychological. Although we thought the same for May, can't win them all. We did see this as being set up ever since the evacuation from Area 51 in the 3rd episode.
Does it look like I want to talk about it?
Okay, well, let's go. Maybe we can catch her.
And what the hell happened to you, huh? How come you weren't able to catch her when she was running away?
Do I look like I want to talk about it? Come on.
We finally get around to seeing Yo-Yo and May work through some of Yo-Yo's subconscious issues with the help of a potion given by S.H.I.E.L.D, and it is at this point she begins to slowly unravel every event that left some kind of emotional impact on her psyche. Most importantly, the day when her father was killed by an intruder looking for some money owed by her uncle. This event was very intriguing when you realize that by her taking the necklace from the table and returning it to the closet with her younger brother, that it will become her signature move, and that it originated in a traumatic moment. And by her reconciliation of that moment and refreshing her perspective, she's able to break free of the long-held multifaceted cycle, in the end allowing her to pull the fuel cell free and avoiding the time drive catastrophe, at least for the time being. We were really hoping that they were going to do something special with Yo-Yo to trump her loss of her ability, and it turns out they did. Now, we briefly discussed in last week's video how Nathaniel has come in possession of the time stream knowledge. It would seem that he is well underway in capitalizing on it. Case in point, he seems to be using the time stream to pick out those who were much like himself, leading to one of the biggest reveals in this episode and possibly the entire show, that the woman who S.H.I.E.L.D has been having difficulty with in Afterlife, named Cora, is actually S.H.I.E.L.D's daughter. And because of the friction in their relationship, Nathaniel is able to ally her with his cause of chaos. It has become more and more intriguing to see how a deceased character from an all but forgotten timeline is not only alive and well in a newer timeline, but is gaining power through the same methods as Dr. Whitehall, as well as numbers and light-powered individuals. Well, that wraps it up for this concise breakdown of the important details of this week's episode. And for more content on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, as well as other shows, make sure you stay tuned in to Content Meta. If you made it to this point in the video, we certainly appreciate you watching. And until then, see you then.